Look at the trajectory that you are on, like within 12 months. It's amazing. Look at the evolution of you as a human in what you've done, like in, you know, whatever space of time. And it's like, me focusing on someone else's journey is just a distraction, and it's like doing yourself an injustice, really, because it's like you're doing yourself a disservice by almost discrediting where you're at in your journey and the growth that you've had. And so I invite people to like be like, hang on, pause, look at where you're at, look at where you were, look at where you're now, look at that trajectory. That's fucking awesome. Like, you're killing it. Keep going.
Yeah, it's real cliche to say, but like you versus you.
Yes.
And we have all these other people that get involved that then we compare ourselves to, and we go, oh, well, I'm not as good as them, or I'm not as fit as them, or sexy or whatever. And you're like,
sexy.
Are you like, you know what I mean though?
Yeah, I do.
Like, you look at them and you go like, oh, they're whatever. And you're like,
Yeah.
well, just, I said to this person, and they were really into someone, and the person they were into wasn't into them. And they were getting really frustrated about it. And I was like, you can't change that. So I'm like, every time you think about like reaching out to this person or trying something, work on yourself. Like, do something for you. Because then it's like, if you do something for you, that's going to make that person more attracted to you over if you're just chasing them but you're not changing. Like, if you keep trying with someone that doesn't like you for your values or who you are as a person or how you eat or how you show up or whatever it may be, like, they're not going to suddenly change their perception of who you are. You need to change you for them to then be attracted to you. Like, a lot of the time when you see like a relationship and like someone will break up with someone and they're like, no, please don't. And like kind of like throw themselves back. It like pushes the person away more. Where if the person goes, okay, you're right. Like, maybe we should have a break. Like, this isn't working. Like, that's probably going to be more attractive to the person breaking up with them, because you're like, oh, fuck, you get it.
Yes.
You understand. And that might make them question it. And then if you do break away, you might go, oh, well, she's actually, or he's actually kind of understanding of the situation. That's already a better start to try and mend things than going like, oh, please, no, like,
100%,
you know what I mean?
100%. And it's like displaying a level of emotional intelligence, right? Because then it's like, okay, like, one, they hear what I'm saying. Two, they're taking it on as feedback. And if they're putting action behind that, it's like, holy fuck, maybe I like you again. Like,
yeah.
You know, if that is like, if, you know, it ends up being like a good solution to whatever their problem is, then that's awesome.
Have you said you were very self-aware. Do you remember there was like a turning point or a certain series of events when you're in your 20s where you kind of had to?
Yes.
Do you remember the point?
Yeah, 100%.
What happened?
This like changed the trajectory of my life. Like, when I did go on The Bachelor, right, like after that, all of the attention was quite overwhelming for me. And that's when I really first experienced feelings of anxiety, like proper physical feelings. Like, after Bachelorette, actually, I felt like I had a hand around my throat for like 3 weeks. The only thing, and that was because like true, like when you think about your throat, it's like speaking your truth. I didn't feel like I could speak my truth at that point, right? Like, there was all this stuff going on in the media. I was with this guy and he was like not faithful to me throughout, like us being together and whatnot. And I didn't know what the truth was. I had a really tough time communicating with partners at that point as well. Like, anytime I'd go to say something or be vulnerable, I'd just cry. Like, I just had so much emotional baggage, I guess, like living in my body that I hadn't ever dealt with because I didn't have the tools or resources to, that I'd go to try and say something, it would just like come out in emotion, right? And so, yeah, just all of the overwhelm from the attention, the public breakup, the stuff in the media about him cheating and me just not knowing what was right or what was wrong, and me being unable to communicate with him, it was just like, I felt like I was being choked. And the only time I felt relief from it was if I went to the gym and got out of my head and into my body by moving my body, which was really great. And so I have always been like a pretty happy, upbeat, positive kind of character, right? And had a really fun childhood, like had challenges throughout, and for the most part had a great time. And so when something was off, like when I did notice the change in how I felt, I was like, holy shit, like I need to do something about this. I don't know what's going on. Well, I kind of know what's going on, and I need to be proactive. I need to be well, at that point it was reactive. So I got into kinesiology. Like there's this awesome chick, her name's Tegan Martin, and she lives in Newcastle and we're friends, and she was telling me that that's what she did as a form of therapy, and it really helped her. And it just like opened my mind. Like I was able to talk to someone and she was able to give me like is objective the right word? An objective.
Yeah.
Yeah, objective. I'm like, is it subjective or objective? I couldn't figure that out. But yeah, she was able to give me like a kind of zoomed out feedback on the situation and whatnot, and helped me to reflect on what I grew up with and how that is kind of playing out in my life, in the problems that I was experiencing at that time. And it like just that process of reflection is where it all really started for me. And then I was just more curious. And then I was like, wow, like, you know, people can kind of go through life and life can kind of just happen, or they can participate in their life and be curious as to the things that come up and go in search of a solution, right? And like when you do that, you get to know yourself on such a deep level. And it's just like going to the gym and working out a muscle and getting stronger in that regard. Like I feel like the more I've done this, like the higher my level of consciousness has gone, and like the more my self-awareness has expanded, as well as like my emotional intelligence as well.
Yeah, it's sitting with it, understanding it. It's funny when you see people and something will come up in their lives that will challenge them, and they'll just put it in the corner, put it in the messy drawer with all the other messy stuff, and they don't deal with it. And then it comes up in other elements or aspects of their life where they're just like, they'll be doing something and then like this thing will come back and they'll suddenly be angry or pissed off. Like you haven't dealt with the thing you need to deal with.
100%.